Hello, this is another video from me, waffling my opinion once again. So of course, feel free to agree or disagree with everything I have to say here. This time I want to discuss things that I personally feel contribute to people feeling unhappy in life. And I don't want to cover the usual self-help cliche things like lack of purpose. And I also don't want to cover things that are obvious, like breakups or financial issues or loss of a loved one. I want to cover more existential things. I'll start by saying two things. Firstly, if you're in a shit mood occasionally, that's completely normal. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, I'd be more concerned if you're always happy. And also, most of the greatest people in history have suffered from fucking crazy moods. So if you are a little crazy in the head, at least you're in good company. And secondly, this is not like some be like me video. I actually wrote these points when I was in a complete bitch of a mood after coaching all weekend and running on little sleep. And that actually brings me to my first point. Obviously, there's a connection between your body, your brain, and your mood. Neurochemicals, hormones, these things are in essence who we are, because when they change, we change. Like if you change someone's neurochemical makeup or if you change their hormones, their personality changes. And I think that a lot of people get bummed out just because of purely physical things like too little sleep, like I mentioned, or too little exercise. I know that's kind of cliche, but there are studies showing that exercises, can be more effective than antidepressants. Like, that's huge. And I think that a lot of us don't realize how unhappy or unsettled we really are until we exercise or until we get a good night's sleep and that cloud lifts. So if you're sitting down all day and you're never exerting yourself, and you have like a lingering sense of unhappiness or depression, there might not be anything wrong with you. It may just be that your body and your brain are stagnant. And the simplicity of that might piss some people off. To note, I'm not talking about clinical depression per se. I just think that we should be considering exercise more as something to improve our mood, improve our personality, improve our productivity, more than something to just fucking lose weight or get muscles. Now sure, a lot of people live just fine without exercise. This video, or this point at least, isn't really for them. This is for like moody bitches like myself who need consistent physical habits in place to stay mentally balanced. Personally, I go to the gym twice a week. I do Bikram yoga occasionally. I do short sprints in the morning, or I go for a walk in the morning. I also meditate every day, and a lot of people think that I'm dedicated, which I find kind of funny, because this is really just something I have to do to stay sane, because if a few days pass where I don't do these things, I start to decline, I get moody, my productivity drops, I just generally feel like shit. So if you're lucky enough to have a brain that's a bit different, a little crazy, don't exercise to get skinny. Exercise to harness that craziness into some productivity. We compare ourselves to others all the time. Sorry if you can hear that fucking jackhammer, that's really annoying. We compare ourselves to others all the time, and we think that other people have their lives sorted out much more than we do, because really we're comparing our lives that we know intimately with the facade of other people's lives. Like, we only see their exteriors and what they present to the world. We don't see what's inside. We don't see, we don't know how they're feeling. So we imagine that their interior must match this perfect exterior that we're seeing. It's easy to forget that people are walking around presenting to the world their best selves. Most people just smile and say, yeah, I'm good, thanks. So we're kind of walking around all thinking that everyone else has everything sorted out, because we're only seeing this exterior. But everyone's fucking crazy. Everyone has issues, besides maybe like Buddhist monks or other enlightened beings. And from my years of working in the personal development industry, I have to say that it's usually the people with the shiniest, happiest, perfect exteriors that usually are the most fucked up, because they're suppressing stuff. Another thing is that we generally all want one or two specific things in our lives, and we tend to look at people, fucking jackhammer. So we tend to look at people who have those specific things, and I think we often assume that they must have it all figured out because they've got those specific things that we really want. But those people are very likely looking at other people the same way that you're looking at them. I hope that made sense. The world is a beautiful place when you realize that everyone has issues and everyone feels confused in some regard. Really because we don't know what the hell life is, and I'm going to cover this more in another point, but most people are walking around just dying for others to open up about their issues, about their struggles, because then that creates a safe space for them to share as well. But you know, all I see is everyone walking around pretending to be fucking A-OK. So personally, I say embrace your issues, be more open about them. I think that true strength is like knowing and owning your weaknesses. I think we tend to get depressed when we're ignoring things in our lives that need to be addressed. This could be something that we've suppressed from the past, or something that we don't want to deal with, something that we, don't know how to deal with. And so the problem just sits there in the back of our heads, affecting everything. It snowballs and it branches off into other areas. I personally see frustration, depression, unhappiness as like the emotional equivalent of physical pain. So just like pain alerts you when something's wrong in your body, I think depression, whatever, is your brain going, fucking dude, look at this, you need to address this. And that's hard, especially when you don't know how to fix the issue. It's like you're trying to move forward, but this thing that you don't know how to deal with just weighs you down. It's kind of like your navigation system is fucking broken. I've used the analogy before of walking around the desert with a broken compass. Like you're trying to move forward, you think you're moving forward, but you just keep going around in circles. So sometimes time is just the best way. If there's nothing that you can do about it, I think you just kind of need to, adopt the mentality that it will work out. But yeah, I'm just surprised by how many people I meet that don't see the link between the shit fucking planes, jackhammers. I'm surprised by how many people I see that don't see the link between what's going on in their head and what's going on in their life. And not many people are willing to walk into that heart of darkness to clean that shit out. Again, for anyone clinging to, their condition, I'm not talking about hardcore clinical depression. I just think it's kind of crazy that doctors, very easily dish out drugs to people who aren't doing any physical exercise, don't have any good habits in place like meditation, and they could be ignoring some shit that they really need to deal with. Our lives are pretty comfortable, we're pretty lucky, but the issue may be that when something is easy and predictable, our brains kind of turn off. That's how we survived. Our brains would focus on new and foreign things and not so much on everyday things. Our brains are wired for survival, to find food, to not get eaten, to find a mate, shelter, and our bodies are made for bursts of energy, activity, but instead we're really comfortable. We work in offices, we sit in comfy couches, we work till fucking all hours of the morning under shitty lights, we drive the same way to work, we buy whatever food we want, we get, food delivered, and I kind of, another plane, awesome. So I kind of think that our brains and our bodies have gone into sleep mode, and I think that that's when unhappiness can start to breed, when you're kind of stagnating. So I'm not saying that we need to go back to caveman days. I personally love my luxury, I love my soft bed and my delivered food. If I go without internet for a couple of days or my laptop, I fucking get edgy. But I guess I'm saying that sometimes pain and risk and uncertainty can be really good things. So, a good example is, have you ever seen someone go through like a really bad breakup, or get fired, or go broke, or survive a medical condition? Usually that person, like for the first time in a long time, feels alive. Their brains kick back into survival mode, and often they leverage that pain and make big changes in their lives, and ultimately that makes them happier just because they got kicked out of autopilot mode. So I don't think that we should be so adverse to risk, and I think that we should be more welcoming of shitty situations that can actually grow us. I think that we strive consciously or unconsciously for a sense of wholeness and completion, to have all the loose ends tied up. And I think that we chase this sense of completion in things and objects, purchases, health, job, whatever, because we think that when we get it or when we get there, we'll feel complete. But I think that we need to learn to be okay with not being complete, because life's completion is fucking death. So even when we get what we want, our brains are these endless problem-solving machines, and if they don't have something to work on, they will create something to work on. So, you know, you bought the dream house, you got the dream partner or the dream job, awesome, but how long do you think it will be? You know, how long do you think that you'll feel that completion for? I personally think it's going to be 6-12 months before your brain goes looking for something else to worry about, and before that sense of uncertainty and incompletion comes back. And I think that that's just a symptom of us having no idea what life's about. Like, I think humans hate shit we can't figure out. So we put rules on things that we can't figure out, or we try to put rules on things that we can't figure out to feel more in control. So I think that this drive to get to a place where we feel complete and secure is like a subconscious fear of life's uncertainty. No one really knows what the hell life is. So we crave things to give us some sense of security in that. But I think that it's ultimately about finding peace in completion, and knowing that whatever happens, or, you know, wherever we get to, we're still going to have periods where we're just no fucking idea what any of this means. But if you can be okay in that, if you can be okay in life's uncertainty, awesome, you're going to do much better. This is something that I personally meditate on every day. So I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please like it and subscribe, because I'll be putting out more sometime soon. And feel free to share it with anyone that you think may benefit from it. Follow me on Instagram and shit as well if you like. Cool. Cheers.